So we've had a few questions and inquiries about how to change your go-kart tyres. So today's video we're going to reshoot the Power Republic how-to video on changing your go-kart tyres. Welcome back to the Power Republic YouTube channel. Today's video we're going to be showing you how to change your go-kart tyres. Now this can be a bit daunting if you haven't done them before. I've heard of guys getting the chainsaw out, getting the angle grinder out. There's all sorts of problems that come up, but we do have a couple of shortcuts and a couple of tricks to make this job nice and easy. So let's get to it. So you're either going to have a 10mm nut like this, where we're going to use a 10mm socket, or an 8mm in hex Allen key. So depending on what wheel nuts you've got, grab those tools and let's get to it. Just remember, if you've got front hubs and wheels, remove the wheel from the hub. It'll make changing the tyre way easier. So with your 10mm socket and ratchet, put the socket onto your nut, and I hold the wheel with the forearm here and my leg on the other side, so it squashes the wheel. And then I can hold the ratchet and the extension with my hand and then just push straight down. Now, if you're struggling like they're really tight, straighten your arm and your leverage will increase. Okay, so now that you've removed your wheels from the go-kart, you want to undo all the bead lock screws. Now, if you try to press the bead off the tyre off the rim with these still screwed in, you're going to wreck your rims and wreck the bead lock screws. So don't do that. Make sure you take these out. Now, a good safety precaution is when you undo them, instead of just loosening them off a little bit, I like to remove the bead screw altogether. That way there is no stuff ups and no damaged rims. You cannot actually get that stuck if it's not in there, so I like to remove them. Okay, so now that we've taken the wheels off the cart, removed all the bead lock screws, it's time to break the beads. And to do that, you're going to need this bead breaker. So the bead breaker's got a couple of different settings here. So this one here is set for the front wheels, and then to do the rear wheels, we're just going to take out this screw and move it to one of the top holes so that the rim fits underneath the bead breaker here. Okay, so you're going to get your rim like this and slide it in underneath the bead breaker, and then it's as simple as just putting your weight onto this here bar and pushing down. Now, if the bead gets stuck here, you can use your hand to break it on this side as well. That's it. Same for the other side. Okay, so now we are going to do the rear wheels. So to do that, you're just going to take this little butterfly nut off the bead breaker. Slide it up. We're going to use the top hole, put the bolt back in, do up the wing nut, and now you should be good to go. Perfect. So when breaking the beads, I like to start with the inside or the back of the wheel and just pop that off there. It's got the shorter side on the bead, it doesn't hit the center of the rim. And then this one here, got to push him all the way down and pop it off because it's got a little bit further to go. Okay, so now that we've got all the beads broken on the rims, off the rims, sorry, we can use our tyre scissors to get the tyre off the rim. Okay, so just like our other video, we're going to use our tyre tongs to get the tyres off the rims. If you don't have some of these, good luck. It's super difficult. You can use like a tyre lever, but I don't use those myself. You can do them with your hands if you're super duper strong. I don't do that either. So make sure you've got yourself a set of tie tongs. This is the best tool you are going to buy for go-karting, so go get some. Okay, so when you're using your tie tongs, you always want to operate on the back side of the wheel, or the inside. This is the back of the rear wheels, and this is the inside of the front wheels. The opposite side to where your valves are, or your bead lock screws, is another way to look at it for the new guys. So first up, grab the small disc that comes with your tie tongs and insert it into the center of the wheel. And then get your tie tongs Now there's two functions here. This is the putting on way, this is the getting off way. Squash the wheel in the center so that the beads can get further away from this recess in the rim. Because what you would like to do optimally is to put the tyre tongs onto the bead like so, and make sure that you're operating here with the bead down underneath this part of the rim. If the bead comes up of the tyre comes up to here on the rim, it makes it really hard because you've got to try to stretch the whole tyre over the rim, and it makes it very difficult. So if you do this and then you just use a bit of leverage and get it to that position there. So you can see here that the bead is underneath the rim there, and it's going to make getting the tyre off the rim way easier. Next up, put the pin down through both the tongs and the centering disc like so, and then simply just open the tongs and boom, she pops straight off. Pin comes out, tongs go closed, remove that, remove that. Now if your disc is stuck, you can put your pin in like this, just crack it straight out. Okay, so this is the hardest part of the whole job really. And what you want to do is you want to squash the tyre. Now if the tyres are being really old and hard, you can heat them up with a heat gun. You can leave them in your car so they get hot, because when the tyres get hot they get softer, okay? And if you're having those problems, maybe try one of those methods. Otherwise, squash the wheel in the center so you can hold it with one hand, and then, so now holding pressure down on the tyre this way, I rest this part of the tyre here on my knee, and then I'm going to pull backwards with the rim to try to pull the rim in a arcing shape out through the center of the tyre. So you hold that down there like that, and you pull it to here, and then you can put your fingers on the inside and just pop it straight out. Okay, so the front tyres are the same as the back tyres in the sense that you want to operate from the same side, which is the inside of the rim, the opposite side to where all your valves are. So, same thing, starting with the disc, adding the tyre tongs by pressing down on the bead and pushing the other side bead down on the rim. And you can really see that that tucks in under there. Put the pin into the tongs, open the tongs up, bead pops straight off the rim. Remove the pin, close the tongs, and then remove the disc. Squash the two opposite sides of the tyre so you've got something to hang on to. And then, same thing, push down, pull up, and it's done. If you're liking these videos, please consider subscribing and turning on the notifications. Okay, so we're going to be setting up these Maxxis tyres. These are new here in Australia this year. We're going to be using them next weekend. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our tyre grease here, and I've just got a rag and a zip tie so that I can do those sorts of ones, and just put a little bit of grease here and then rub that on the tyre like so. Also too, if you're having problems blowing your tyres up onto the rims, we recommend getting some tyre grease and putting it on the rim as well. So then the tyre will naturally just slide along as you blow the tyre up with the compressed air. One of the things I like to do to make it a bit easier is I compress the tyre on this side with my knee, same on the other side, and that way I've got myself a set of handles that I can hang on to the tyre. It just makes handling the tyre a bit easier. So now that you've got your tyre ready, you want to make sure that you're operating on that back side of the rim still. If you go from this side, you'll struggle big time trying to get the tyre onto the rim. So make sure that you're always operating from the inside on the back side of the rim. So grab the back side of the rim, put it onto the tyre, and then just push it in like so. So you'll notice that as I was pushing the rim into the tyre, I was using a slight downward pressure and a twisting motion. So you put the lip of the rim onto the tyre and then you twist it down and in, and that helps the rim go into the tyre. Next, we flip the rim over. Insert your centering disc. Now we're going to use the tongs in the opposite direction as we had when we removed them. So that is with this part down. So working with a rim on the ground is sometimes easier, so you can keep the angle of the rim like this, and it helps to keep the tyre and the tongs all lined up. So now that we've got the white part of the tyre tongs under the bead of the rim and it's sitting on the bead of the tyre, I'm just going to load the tyre up on this part on the ground and then work in a more vertical plane on the tyre tongs as I open it up, and that should get it all to pop on nice and easy. Okay, so now that we've got our tyre on our rim, the next thing we're going to do is blow it up. But before we do that, we've got to insert our beadlock screws. Make sure you check your beadlock screws while they're out for any damaged O-rings. If these have any splits or cracks in them, they can leak, and you get a slow leak and a flat tyre while you're racing. Insert the beadlock screw back into its little hole and push the tyre down so that you can check to make sure that the bead screw is not coming through. So when you inflate the tyre, it doesn't rip the bead of the tyre. If you have it like this, you can see that rubber tyre is going to get ripped up by the bead screw and you can damage your thread. So just make sure that those bead screws are down inside the holes. Last but not least, you get your tyre chuck and put some air in the tyre and it should just pop straight up. The next thing I like to do is to remove one beadlock screw. That lets out all the excessive air, and then you can put it back in, tighten them all up and set the tyre pressures. Another good idea is to, once you have completed your tyre fitting with your new tyres, is to set the pressures and set them all the same and pick a number, maybe it's 15 psi. So we know that we start with this tyre at 12 pounds, so we've got a little bit of room to move. But I set them all at 15 so that when I go and put them on the cart and I'm at the track, I can double check them to make sure that they've held their pressure so there's no leaks. If you set them at 15 psi all around and you notice one is lower than the others, well, it's time to inspect the beadlock screws or the valve. Something could be damaged, the bead could be leaking, there could be a punch or anything, but you need to double check that before you go out for your qualifying. So now you've got one tyre done from go to woe. It's the exact same process for the other three. Okay, so that is changing tyres, using a bead breaker, using the tyre tools, the easy way. If you've got an easier way, please leave it in the comment sections below. You can also subscribe and turn on the notifications if you like, and that is your thing. Follow along on Instagram and Facebook at Power Republic, or go to our website www.powerrepublic.com.au and grab yourself a t-shirt or a set of tyres and some tyre tongs. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.